Hi everyone, Heather Steves here, and today I want to show you how I decoupaged on my little ochre art journal. So I started by adding gesso to my cover. I wanted to make sure that the napkins that I were going to decoupage on there would show all of the detail through, and that ochre color was just a little bit dark. So once I had everything covered, I just grabbed a baby wipe and I'm just wiping off any excess that might be on the edges. Then I grabbed out the napkin, I pulled it apart so that it's only one layer, and then I cut it kind of to the size that I was looking for. So I pulled out this nice little stamp from the December Romance stamp set, and I stamped it directly onto the napkin using the StazOn ink, because once it got wet I didn't want it to start to run. So I pulled out my Mod Podge and I just added some to the little bottom edge of that so that I could get my napkin kind of held into place. And then I went ahead and I put the Mod Podge on the rest of that front cover piece. And then I just started to kind of stretch it and add more. I found that I just needed to go along kind of bit by bit. It seemed to work nicely and it went on fairly smoothly, which I was kind of surprised because it was kind of starting to wrinkle, but then as I kept going, it actually smoothed out quite nicely. Now, unfortunately, my stamp is a little bit too high and is really right at the edge of my journal, but that's okay. It'll be fine. And then you just saw me tearing the edge because I wanted to make sure that I didn't have like that cut edge. Even though you can't really see the white napkin, I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't like a really solid edge. And then you can just see me fiddling around with where those elastics are, making sure that the napkin kind of sits down. So then I moved on to my next side and I'm just trimming that up a bit more, making sure that I'm not going to have any overlap of pattern. I kind of lost a little bit on the bottom from the other napkin, so I made sure that I was going to have a little bit to add there. So on the back here, I ended up just putting the Mod Podge all over the entire back, and then I laid down my napkin. So I thought this might work. I wouldn't recommend it because it actually didn't work as well, because once it was stuck down there, it was stuck and it wrinkled. So maybe if I hadn't been fiddling around with this little bottom piece here, it might have moved for me, but because I was fiddling around there just trying to get that little green underneath the elastic, it took me a little bit of time to do that, and by then I guess it had started to set. And then lesson learned, don't hold your journal down with your fingers, because my finger stuck to that poinsettia on the front and it ripped the napkin back up again. So that was unfortunate, but I figure I'll just figure out how to cover that up after. And it turns out okay. So I just continue adding the Mod Podge and making sure that everything is well stuck down and well covered with the Mod Podge. So I left that to dry overnight, and then I came back the next day and cut out the numbers 2024 from the set 2037 alphabet numbers and more. And then I just using those on the cover. It's kind of covering up that little boo-boo that I made with the poinsettia. And this is, of course, my December to Remember art journal for 2024. And if you want to join in, if you hop over to the Art Journal Specials Facebook group, you can see all of the prompts and you can join in as well. So I'm just adding Mod Podge to stick down those letters and cover them up again. And that number 4 just didn't want to stick. I think I had a little bit too much Mod Podge on there, so it was slipping around all over the place. I pulled some up and then tried again, and then I was just really careful as I was using my brush, and then I just finished getting it in place with my little tweezers. Then once that was done, the last thing I had to do was just to sand off all of that excess napkin. Once it's dry, it's pretty easy to use the little sanding block just to clean up those edges. So I thought that I was done, but I actually ended up going out and buying myself some gilding wax, and I decided to add that all along the outside edge of the journal. I think it just added a nice little finishing touch to it. And just to note, you're going to see coming up in just a minute, I used one of the stencils from the new Art Journal Christmas collection, and I stenciled the inside of my journal just with some regular ink. And there's my first page with all of the prompts. I hope you enjoyed this video. Have yourself a wonderful day.